have various tones and summaries. Now, because we have discussed the tones, I would really want you people to just pause the video for now, attempt all the questions that you have in your verbal ability class assignment 4, and then resume to see if your answers match. Now choose the summary of the passage that is written in the same style as that of the passage. So I'm talking about the first passage that is mentioned on the page number 42, the purpose of TILA. And in this particular case, the answer is answer B. So TILA protects the rights of consumers by regulating the calculation and disclosure of the costs associated with borrowing. TILA seeks a standardized disclosure of costs to aid the consumer to shop. Now, if you want to know how exactly you proceed with the question that is of comprehension passages or anything like that, the first thing that you do is read the first 1 or 2 lines of the passage and last 1 or 2 lines of the passage. What happens is you get a basic idea of what exactly the passage is about, and then read all the questions very, very quickly. And then you could start reading the entire passage and finally go to the questions and solve your answers. Solve your questions. Second passage, democracy doesn't. And the answer is option D. While democracy may be the best and most civilized form of governance, the fact remains that unless organizations exist that can enable people to perform some concrete actions like entering into the political system, putting forth programs and so on, it means very little in real terms. Now answer the questions based on the passage. In these you have to identify the tone. And right now I'm discussing the passage which says after the conquest. So I've written the exact statement or the sentence of the passage. Now in this case, if you see, there's a passage but there's one little sentence that is given and you have to identify the tone only of the sentence. However, if you do not go through the entire passage, you might get confused. So the answer over here is C, that is cynical. And I've already explained the meaning of cynical, so I'm not doing that again. The immense areas upon the metropolis. So I'm discussing again the fourth question. And again, this is one particular sentence, but you actually have to read the entire passage to be able to understand. So the answer is option C, concern. Answer the questions given on the passage. So in the first passage, you have to find the suitable title for the passage. Now, if you read the entire passage, you would realize that your option A should be your answer. Why? Because they're explaining the aftermath, the consequences of the World War I that were there on Britain. So if you see the third option says the futility of war. Of course, but the particular focus is actually on Britain. Therefore, our answer should be the first A option. What is the central idea of the passage? Answer is option D. The economic and psychological damages suffered by Britain in the post-war era. Now, this particular sentence clearly explains what exactly the passage is talking about. Which of the following best summarizes the passage? So the answer is B option, that says Britain not only suffered huge economic losses and national crisis, but also had to deal with growing assertiveness of their colonies, which happened as a result of their participation in the First World War. Now, whenever you have to find the summary of the passage, try to see which particular option covers maximum important points. If you feel there was this one important point which was mentioned in one option but it is mentioned in the other, then obviously the second one should be your answer. Now, reading comprehension. So we are looking at the passage 1, that is the Great Debates. The author is mainly concerned about, and the answer is option E, the effect of television on the results of the 1960 Great Debates. Now, obviously, you would not understand if you do not read the passage, and that is why I asked you to pause the video, do the questions, and then continue. It can be inferred from the passage that, and the answer is option C, the Democratic beat the Republican in the 1960 election. Now, inferred or conclude is this particular statement. So you have to again read the passage in order to understand. According to the passage, which of the following is true of Richard Nixon? And the answer is E. He lost his job after the election. This is a pretty direct question, so you should be able to answer that. I'm particularly emphasizing the fact that if you do not read the passage and if you do not understand it, you will not be able to answer the questions. So do that properly. So let's move on to passage 2, that is talking about some sanctuary. Look at the fourth question. The author implies that his first definition of a sanctuary is, and the answer is option B, somewhat idealistic. Moving ahead. Fifth question. The author's argument that destroying both flies and mosquitoes would be a beneficial action is most weakened by all of the following except answer D, that says these insects have been introduced to the area by human activities. Now, in such questions, there might be a possibility that there is one particular or two particular options that do not even exist in the entire paragraph. So, automatically, such options get eliminated. So, you should work by and you should try to find the answers by eliminating the options that do not make any sense based on the given paragraph. Next, it can be inferred that the passage is, so answer is option C, that says part of a speech delivered to an educated audience. Now, if you see, it is written an educated audiences, so there is a grammatical error. It should be an educated audience. Remove the S at the end of audience. Next, the purpose of the final paragraph is, and the answer is option C, to qualify the author's definition of an important term. Now, if you see, I have skipped the passage 3 because this particular one appeared in your JET exam of 2012. So I do not want to discuss this. I want you to use your brains and attempt the entire passage and all the the 4 questions that are listed after it. Now, this is important because you realize what kind of passages directly appear in your exam. So I'm moving on the fourth passage that talks about intelligence augmentation. Now, the author is mainly concerned about, I am on page number 48, question 12. And the answer is C, the basic methods of intelligence augmentation. Next, the author's use of the phrase somewhat more problematic in social terms refers to, answer is B, the difficulty of making pharmacological enhancements socially acceptable. Next, according to the passage, the itemized word placated most closely means, and the answer is option E, quieted. Now, if you see, one particular word would have a meaning, and you could just find one option and just select that. But the question says, according to the passage. So you have to go back, find where that particular word was used, read the sentence, and then answer. Reason? At times, one word could have 1 or 2 meanings, so you should understand what exactly they are talking about, relate your answer to the passage, and finally decide the correct option. Next, in the context of the passage, which of the following best articulates the author's opinion? So your answer is option D. External and internal intelligence enhancement might constitute evolution in cultures that accept them. Next, The primary purpose of the passage is to, and the option is answer A, describe different kinds of intelligence enhancement. Now, this one was very easy because the paragraph starts talking about that. Now, when we were discussing the verbal ability assignment 3, I told you that the assignment 3A, I'll be talking about that later. So these are the answers. Now that particular assignment is very easy. Please do that, and from here you can refer to your answers. So the answer for question 1 is the C option, for 2 is B, 3 is D, 4 is A, and finally 5th is B. Thank you so much. In case of any doubt, please connect with us.